local government because it affects us the most. Your local government has the greatest impact on us personally. We're doing everything, our committee's doing everything we can to help keep you educated and informed about what's going on in our community and at a government level, at the county level. We believe that the citizens of our county should have the opportunity to make informed decisions about the candidates that they're voting for, especially the people that are seeking your votes. They should be giving you the time to ask the questions that you need answers to, so you can make a good decision. So that's why today we're pleased to offer you this public forum. All the Republican candidates were invited, but you know, as you can see, there's some that weren't able to make it. But we appreciate you spending your time and making your time available to us, so we could ask you guys questions. So our questions are going to focus on you guys tonight. We're not going to ask the people that aren't here because there's no point in asking. So I have a series of questions prepared by our committee that we believe are representative of the questions that we need answers to. We believe that by the end, you should be able to make an informed decision, a well-informed decision about the candidates that you're voting for. You should understand what their concerns are, where they stand on things, and their priorities. So with that, I'm going to ask each candidate to introduce themselves, talk about the role you're running for, your name and your role. So we'll start with you.
Jason Barnes, running for sheriff again. I've been sheriff since 2014. I've been with the sheriff's office since 1999. Grew up in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Married, wife's a CPA up on the square, has an accounting business. Got 2 daughters. That's kind of it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Teri Kaczinski, running for County Auditor. I'm married, have 2 boys, they're 8 and 9. I currently work in the clerk's office at the courthouse as a judicial specialist. I've been there for a couple years. So my husband and I have 2 businesses, one of them in this county. So.
All right, thank you.
I'm Jessica Hobbs. I'm running for County Supervisor. I've lived in Madison County for over 10 years. I have 12 and 14-year-old girls that attend Winterset schools. And I am passionate about county politics. As Ken said, we have to, you know, where we can have the biggest impact is on the local level. So I'm really excited to be here, and thank you to everyone for attending.
Thomas Losee. I lived here since 1972. When I got out of the military, got married to a hometown girl. Been married 51 years, and got 1 child. That's about it.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to start with your role, Sheriff Barnes. Could you tell us why you're running as a Republican for this office?
I'm running as a Republican. That I was raised as my dad was a Republican, my mom was a Republican. I believe in their values. They more align with me, how I feel when it comes to conservatism, the Constitution, law enforcement in general. That seems to be my draw to the Republican Party.
Do you have anything else to add to that? Are you finished?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Teri, why don't you go ahead and answer the same question. Why are you running as a Republican?
I'm running as a Republican because it aligns with my belief system. Also, I am running for this position because I am tired of the elitist mentality in some of the elected county offices, where we are just, we the taxpayers are just an endless pot of money at their disposal. My husband and I work tirelessly to try to create a better future for ourselves and our boys, and it's never enough. Some elected officials keep wanting to take more and more of my piece of pie, and I've had enough of it, so I've decided to step up and do this. So, yeah.
Okay. Jess, can you tell us why you're running as a Republican for this office?
conservative values definitely most closely align with my principles as well. And I know our citizens are struggling, they're hurting, they're struggling to pay their bills. And I care about our county. My children will inherit land here. And I want this to be a county that they'll stay in and raise children here and raise their grandchildren here. So I'm looking forward to making some positive changes.
I run as Republican because I work in maintenance at the courthouse. I see what's going on, what should happen that isn't happening. And my mom was a Republican, and that's why I'm here.
All right. Thanks, Tom. Let's, I'm gonna ask those who, if there's an incumbent that you're running against. So I guess Teri, we'll start with you. If there's an incumbent holding the office you seek, what would you do differently than the person that holds that position? And we're especially interested in your views on the budget and money spent and so forth. So.
So yes, there is an incumbent. First, I need to set the standard that government is for and by the people by freezing my own salary for 4 years and only accepting cost of living increases for every year after that. Elected officials should not be sheltered from the same struggles that our constituents suffer from. I plan to meet with, listen, and understand what each staff member does in their roles to gain insight on what works and what doesn't work for them. Since I would also be budget manager, this puts me at a great position to look for ways to be more efficient across various departments and look for more ways to be fiscally responsible. If elected, I would evaluate the current budget versus any future budgets based off of needs versus wants. Just because we want it doesn't mean we need it, because every dollar the auditor's office receives comes out of somebody's pocket. So it's important that every elected office be proactive in saving the taxpayers' money.
Okay, thank you. Let's jump over to you, Tom. So there is a person you'd be running, person that's in the position right now as county supervisor you would be running against. What would you do differently? And tell us about your stance as far as the county taxes, budgets, and also compensation for your compensation.
Well, I just got this from you Saturday, and I haven't time to write up a bunch of stuff and make up good notes and stuff. But just the way that what's happening in the supervisor's office against each other, and it just leads on to bad vibes in the county. And Phil, I'm running against him because there needs to be more accountability. There's no accountability up there in the supervisor's office. And that's about it. I mean, I could give you a speech for an hour, but
we've got an hour.
You don't want to buzz in.
Did you have anything else you want?
No, that's good.
Okay, very good. So let's move to you, Jess, as you're also running for supervisor. What would you do differently in the role of a supervisor? And then also we're especially interested in your position on the increases in county budget spending, property tax, compensation, and so forth.
Well, unlike the incumbent, who will just pretend he's here, I believe that the elected officials should serve the taxpayers first and foremost.
Yeah.
That is their duty. That is what they're swearing an oath to do. But what I would like to do at minimum is stop the increases. We cannot handle these increases are not sustainable for our community and for our local government. I too would like to freeze raises for elected officials. I believe they should have some skin in the game and have a vested interest in tightening this budget down. And I also think that with the budgeting, we should start with zero-based budgeting. Start at zero. Don't just start with last year's figure and what can we add to it. Let's start at zero. Let's do a line-by-line item assessment. And so we can find where we can gain some efficiencies. So I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you. Couple part question for you, Sheriff. Can you tell us what qualifications, this is hard to ask you this because you've been doing it so long. So what qualifications do you believe are critical for the office which you're running for? To what degree do you think you're qualified to hold this office?
I believe hands down, the most important thing is just being able to be accessible to the community. If there's a problem in St. Charles, they should be able to call me. If there's a problem on 105th Street, East Earlham, they need to call. I need to be accessible. I got 10 guys, 10 deputies that patrol this whole county 24/7. It's my job to make sure they're getting what they need to be able to provide that service to the community. I would say that's probably my biggest overall role, is to make sure they're getting what they need to do what they need to do. Like I've said before, and I'll say it again, when you guys get in your car in the morning and drive to work, the last thing you're worrying about is your sheriff's office. You're not thinking about it, and there's a reason for that. It's working. Things are working the way they should be. We hit bumps on the road like everybody else. When you got 21 employees, you got 21 lives with different drama levels and everything. But at the end of the day, they do a really good job. And it's just, as the sheriff, you gotta make sure that they have what they need. That's kind of the gist of that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Teri, what qualifications do you think are critical for the office that you're running for, and then also, how do you believe that you're qualified for the role of the auditor?
I believe that how to manage a budget and watching expenditures and revenues is critical to this role. There are also additional responsibilities, excuse me, that fall under this office, such as serving as commissioner to elections, tabulating taxable valuations, handling payroll, HR, passports, and other required duties, and record keeping. Running two businesses where budgets, personnel, and payroll need to be managed and accurate records kept. They've given me the skills necessary to, the necessary skills for this position, as well as unique perspective of the struggling taxpayer, which is something solely needed in government.
Is that it? Okay, very good, thank you. Jess, let's go to you. What are the qualifications do you think are essential for this role of the supervisor? And how are you qualified? How do you feel that you're qualified based on that?
I think a keen understanding of budgeting is crucial, of course, but then also the ability to work with all the stakeholders. That's, in my opinion, crucial to achieve your shared goals. My qualifications, I have earned my master's in business, my MBA. However, my professional experience, I think, is what's most directly applicable to this role. I've worked with all levels of tradespeople for turnkey projects, from HVAC, plumbing, pipe fitters, sheet metal technicians, fire security technicians, building automation technicians, IT departments, engineers. I've worked with and continue to work with executives to frontline workers. And it's all under with the goal of trying to achieve those shared goals and trying to hold people accountable and ensure that they're performing their jobs. So I believe that all this professional experience is leading up to this, so I can apply it to the county level to serve all of you.
Tom, can you tell me what qualifications you think are essential for the role of the supervisor, and then how are you qualified based on that?
Well, I managed and general manager of a multi-million-dollar auto recycler. I was foreman from quite a few companies running people, which supervisor only hires 4 people, so I mean, that doesn't include any. What has to happen, our our skills aren't there with the people right now. Everybody saying this and that, and our skills are different. Just, I missed something on the last question you asked me on taxes. People don't realize that the county gets a minuscule of the tax dollar. The rest goes to the schools, the city. The county don't get a boatload of tax dollar for a budget. And I'm sure the school and them don't wanna stop and take less on their levy. But that's what I wanted to catch up on here. As far as qualifications, I'm an honest person. I understand people, and I understand the dollar. That's it.
Thanks, Tom. I'm gonna stay with the supervisors for a moment here. I'll start with you, Jess. Provide an example of a capital project that the county has undertaken that you would have done differently. What will you do going forward to ensure future capital projects are completed within budget, are completed on time to meet quality standards?
Well, I think everybody's quite obviously aware of the courthouse challenges, at least some of them. And as I understand it, it's still not finished, and we're going to be getting some lifts coming back for more shoddy workmanship to be addressed. It's over budget. It was supposed to be finished in 18 months. Still going on. Here we are 3 years later. I believe that at minimum we should have a professional inspection prior to that warranty expiring to ensure we get any of these issues addressed prior to so we can get them addressed in a timely fashion before that warranty expires. But I also believe that we need better oversight, professional oversight for all of our projects that we have at the county level and all the tax dollars being spent. We need people overseeing the work that's being done and holding them accountable.
Tom, I'm gonna ask you the same question.
Okay, I worked for the courthouse. I was there when COVID was going through, construction almost stopped, you know. There was a lot of bad workmanship on the place, but there's a lot of stuff that they didn't anticipate. Back-ordered stuff. But what I wanted, what really upset me more, there was no end date when it was supposed to be done in the contract. So if there was an end date, every day over that, the company had been getting fined, and they wouldn't be pulling stuff like they pulled, trying to hide things. So I would have a contractor that would follow them around like a puppy dog. Because I know carpenters cut corners every day of the week, and a good carpenter can hide it. These guys didn't hide a lot of that stuff. So you gotta have somebody to follow them around. That's it.
Okay, thank you. A little bit personal. Start with you, Teri. What are some terms people have used to describe you?
Organized, hard worker, reliable, probably go-getter who once given a task quickly to learn it and then tries to find ways to do it better, I would say.
Okay. Jess, you wanna go next?
Sure. Honest, trustworthy, authentic. I've had people refer to me as real, one of the most real people they've met. Determined, kind, loyal, persistent, smart. But I also have the tenacity of a bulldog. Been told that several times, especially when there's injustice. I stand up and I speak out.
Tom.
Honesty, hard worker, don't know the word quit. Was never in my vocabulary. Can do about anything if I'm asked to. Good leader. That's it.
You guys all forgot humble.
Jason, what's your answer to that question? I can ask them again if you like.
Jeez, I don't know. I know what I think.
Open up.
I know what I think.
We'll let you know if it's right.
Yeah. I guess the easiest thing, I say what I mean. If I say it, I'm gonna stick by it. If I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. I get tired, I try not to quit. If there's a problem, I would say if there's a problem, I can't go a day without addressing it. I mean, I gotta get on top of it. I guess I'd say I'm tentative. I think I'm fair. It's hard to answer these questions.
Sure.
Just,
Yeah.
your people do a good job for you and it makes it easy,
Yeah.
so.
You know, I should have asked a little bit more on that question. Provide an example that demonstrates your best qualities. That'd make it a little easier, wouldn't it?
Oh, no.
Not so much.
Okay, let's stay with you, Sheriff. Have you ever had to develop a forecast yearly budget, prepare a balance sheet, income statement, or profits and loss?
Yes.
Anything of that nature?
Yes.
Can you tell us about your experience with that?
Well, every year we have to do a budget, and we have to redo the budget, and we have to redo the budget. I have to read the future. I have to get out a crystal ball and tell you how many people are gonna come to jail that year, who's gonna get sick, who's not gonna get sick, what cars are gonna break down, what cars are not gonna break down. That's my experience with a budget. So what you do is, you take a snapshot of everything. Okay, this car has X amount of miles on it. It's probably gonna need this and that. There's a lot of forecasting.
Amen.
A lot. And it's tough. It's real, and sometimes you get breaks. I'm budgeted, I believe I have $15,000 in a line item for medical for inmates. One ER visit could wipe that out. And I'm supposed to predict who's gonna go to the hospital that year. So it's tough, it's really tough. I'm happy to say I'm well under budget this year again. And we don't go on a shopping spree the last month to get all that money used up. It goes right back to the county. If we need it, we get it. If we don't need it, we don't get it. Training's important. You gotta update everybody's training. You gotta forecast that, who needs to have their certifications renewed. But I would say that's the hardest part of the budget. It's just trying to figure out, what are they gonna throw at you this next year? And then when they don't throw it at you, and you got an extra $15,000 in a line item, it goes right back to the general fund. And then revenue, you gotta figure out how many people are gonna buy phone cards in the jail. It's tough. So you gotta look back at what happened last year. We do have to.
Meals.
So.
Anything else on that?
No, sir.
Okay. Let's go to you, Jess. Have you ever had to develop a forecasted yearly budget, prepare a balance sheet, an income statement, or a profit and loss statement?
I've worked with clients across central Iowa, both taxpayer funded and private entities, and assisted them with their capital improvement budgets and their operations budgets. And also, like all of you here, of course, I've got my personal budget, but unlike government, I can't just raise taxes when I fall short. So you have to be smart on the personal level and on the professional level.
You want me now,
I
don't
want
you?
you next.
My budget was a little different. Mine was a monthly budget. I had so many dollars to spend for inventory. And the way the car prices were going up and down, one month you might be a little low, next month you're high, and it was just hard to figure out the market on the steel company, automotive. So our budgets were monthly, and it was hard to stay under. It was hard because the price of vehicles that you bought went up. A vehicle you used to pay $500 for, now you're paying $1,500 for parts. So my budget was different, so that's it, hard to keep up to date.
Best you can.
Best you can.
Yeah. Teri, let's talk about your budgeting and forecasting expertise as well.
So, I manage the budgets for our family and our two businesses, which involves projecting our expenses to, and revenue to determine how we'll be profitable. If you run a business, you're probably aware of how important it is to maintain good records and prioritize expenses to ensure your business is successful. So, kind of like Tom said there a little bit, so we have a car lot, so that's always kind of up and down a little bit. With car prices and stuff like that, so it's tricky and challenging at some times. And then our other business, we have basically 2 weeks to make our money, which is a fireworks business. So there's a lot of money that gets put up front, and you are forecasting what you think you're gonna make. Depending on what day of the week July 4th falls on, so very challenging, but we've been in business for 7 years, so we've done something right, so.
Yeah. Next questions are related, Teri, we'll just stay with you. Based on your experience with forecasting budgets and so forth, how might you apply this to the role in which you're running?
Well, small business ebbs and flows, sometimes moving at a fast pace. So you have to keep an eye on expenditures and money coming in order to stay afloat. And just like Jess said, unlike government, like if we make a poor decision, we can't just tax people more money to cover those poor decisions. So.
Tom, how would you apply your experience with budgeting and forecasting in the role of the supervisor?
It's hard to do for what I get, you know, it's just, the up and down of the markets is just what kills people and takes them out of business, so it's hard to stay, you know, up and down, which way's in, which way's going. So that's it.
Okay. Okay, next. You kind of already did, but you want to recap again? How would you apply your experience, budgeting experience, going forward in your role?
As we go forward, well, like everybody said, everything changes. The forecast, fuel prices are all over the place. Everything's went up in price, everything. From inmate meals to fuel to electricity to propane, everything our office needs to run. So you just gotta sit down and you gotta set a couple weeks aside every year and get down to it and figure out what it's gonna cost to give Madison County what they gotta have. Is that patrol car gonna make it there to their house that night? Is that dispatcher are we gonna have a dispatcher answer the phone? It's just, there's a lot of moving parts. It's not hard, it's just, you gotta do your best to try to forecast it. The Board of Supervisors, they're very easy to work with. If you're short somewhere, you might have somewhere else where your example, I'm scheduled right now, we're budgeted to hold 10 inmates a day all throughout the year. We're averaging like 6. So there's gonna be that extra money there that if the board needs it, they can take it and put it to secondary roads or whatever. Everything operates from general fund. They don't do that for the most part. If the sheriff's office needs something, we get it. If we need it and I can articulate to the board why we need it, they're very easy to work with.
Okay. Jess, I want to leave you out here to talk about how you would apply your expertise in budgeting, forecasting, and the role that you're running for, supervisor role.
Yeah, for over 20 years in my profession, I am the face of the relationship for the clients. So I am the one who has to ensure accountability for the workmanship and the services that my businesses have committed to. So I've worked really hard to ensure. I know it's sometimes challenging when you have limited resources, where you're going to divert those and how you're going to prioritize it. But it's a matter of coming together and ensuring, that you're following through with your commitments. And certainly with my clients, I wanna ensure that the data that I provide to them, that they're feeding into their budget is accurate, so they look good, so.
I didn't see anybody on that one, I don't think. You already answered it, didn't you?
Yeah.
I'll give you a new question now,
That's
that's
why I
it.
wanted to hear it again.
You want me to give you, I'll give you a new question.
Oh, okay.
Unless you have more you wanna add.
I haven't prepped myself on
That's
this
all right.
question.
All right, well, let's talk about leadership.
We can handle that.
You can handle that, all right. So describe your experiences in positions of leadership.
I was the general manager for the auto industry. I was a foreman for construction companies. I had several people under me all the time. I was the, what are they called? Guido of the auto salvage. I had to control people. You get a bunch of people working together out in a hot day in the yard, it's hard to control them. So I was the manager. I had to put all the fires out, keep them working. If I had people that didn't get along, I set them in an office, told them I wasn't firing them, they worked it out or quit. 9 out of 10 times, they worked it out. That's it.
What happened to the 10th time?
They haven't found him yet. We do crush our vehicles.
All right, Jess, let's hear about your experiences in positions of leadership.
I've led teams, led projects for quite a long time, and I just focus on aligning the right skill sets, the right resources to get things done on time and on budget.
Teri,
Yes.
describe your positions or your experiences in positions of leadership.
Yep. As a supervisor for a large warehouse several years ago, leading a group of people has taught me how to effectively participate in a team. Sometimes people need a leader to help them make the right choices, and however, there are times when others have better ideas than what you do, and it's important to listen and acknowledge those ideas. The most important part of any team is figuring out how to work together as a team, which means everyone needs to understand their strengths and weaknesses, so you know how to utilize everybody in their roles.
Thank you.
Leadership, I was promoted to chief deputy in 2009 when I'd oversee the jail and dispatch and their training and all that other stuff. As the sheriff, I've led the investigations on bridge arsons, some homicides, sex abuse cases, countless car accidents, vehicular homicide stuff. So I've had a lot of experience in coordinating deputies, and some deputies are a lot better at other stuff than other deputies, and I think we do a pretty good job of putting people where they need to be.
Okay. If you were to be elected, what do you, Sheriff, what do you foresee as the most difficult obstacles ahead of you, and how do you anticipate overcoming them?
Well, if I eke this out, I think mental health is hands down our biggest obstacle we deal with as a sheriff's office. I have a jail full of people that don't want to be there for whatever reason. Mental health, a lot of times, is the trigger that gets everything going. If we could somehow address that mental health, and I'm not blaming anybody, any level of government, it's something we all got to address. And I think we're getting to the point now where people are realizing that our jails have become mental hospitals.
Yes.
And we gotta, and I've brought this up recently, we have an inmate in our jail right now who does not belong in that jail. And we're working real hard to get him out. We're real close. Should have him somewhere soon other than a jail. He's a good kid. This is just an example. He's a great kid. He didn't harm anybody. He's just struggling with something he can't handle. It's not his fault. It's not drug induced, it's not alcohol induced. And that's just something I see our biggest, what keeps me up at night is that jail and who's in that jail, who needs to be at a doctor's office as opposed to the jail. I would say that's probably one of our biggest obstacles right now. Retaining good people is always a tough thing to do. I think we do a pretty good job of that right now. Our turnover's kind of slowing down. Our guys and gals, our dispatchers, our jailers, everybody's treated pretty good. But I would say mental health.
Okay. Jessica, if you were to be elected, what would you foresee as the most difficult obstacles ahead of you? And how would you anticipate overcoming them?
Definitely the budget. But as I stated earlier, I would like to see a line item by line item assessment, starting at zero and then justify the requested expenses that are being proposed. Don't just automatically just assume you need as much money as you got last year and add to it. But that's gonna require a collaboration with all the departments and understanding their needs, understanding their roles, their jobs, and what some of their challenges are. Because we wanna make sure that they have the resources that they need to be effective for the taxpayers. But I am confident that we can make some significant improvements.
Teri, would you like me to read the question again?
No,
Okay.
thank you. I believe the first obstacle will be to overcome the status quo, as well as any preconceived notion of how I would run the auditor's office. Initially, as auditor, I would seek to understand each staff member, how they see their roles, and as well as what works for them and what doesn't work for them. Government often becomes entrenched in the old saying of this is how we've always done it, rather than looking for ways to do things better and more efficiently.
Tom, what obstacles do you see and how would you overcome them?
Well, first thing, we have to get a control, get a handle on the budget and the taxes. We gotta work as a team now to get this done. And right now, we don't have a team. We get too much squabbling, so we gotta have a team with the supervisors to take control and work on the budget. And put everybody else's ideas apart in one main idea, the citizens of Madison County. That's it.
Okay, thank you. These are more kind of abstract questions, but are you a fast learner, Tom?
Yes,
And can you give me an example of something you've been a fast learner with?
the computer.
Tell me more.
Huh?
Tell me more.
Oh, okay, I took a job for this company, and the owner of the company left, went to Africa, elephant hunting. His son left, went to Rockingham to a race. I had been there a week and the computer system crashed. I had it up and going,
There you go.
so I thought I'd burn it up and all this. I'd never used one. They said, yeah, you'll figure it out. Well, I did figure it out. So, yeah, that was one of my main achievements in life, I figured that.
Jessica.
Yeah, I'd say I'm a fast learner. I learn best by doing and by seeing. One example, I guess, would be when I started my current job right at the beginning of COVID. And I had to learn trial by fire, working from a home office, isolated, not knowing who my resources were, what my resources were available. And I had to quickly try to understand how I could find the answers that I needed that I didn't have. So I learned it pretty darn quick.
Teri, are you a fast learner?
Yes.
Tell me why you think that.
So in a previous role that I had, I was tasked with mastering a new software system within a short time frame. I spent a lot of hours outside of work studying the system, contacting experts in the field, and actively applied that knowledge to the daily tasks. As a result, I was able to become proficient in the software ahead of schedule. I am a quick learner by nature and thrive in environments that challenge me to expand my skill set. I'm excited for the opportunity to grow in this role and am confident that I can quickly adapt to any new challenge that comes my way.
It depends. If it's carpentry, no. It took me 2 hours to put a doorknob in our house. It depends. If I'm interested in it and it intrigues me, yes, I can pick it up. If I'm not interested in it, I struggle like anybody else. Again, I go back to, I got a lot of good people around me in that sheriff's office, so I know who can do what. Kirk Ferentz doesn't have to be able to throw 300 yards. He just needs to know who to put there to throw it. And that's kind of where we're at.
Double up line here.
Yeah.
Madison County property taxes are increasing at an exponential rate. That is 32.7% faster than the combined growth of our population and inflation. To the extent you can do something about it, what will you do to stop this?
Watch our spending. I don't know if that will cause the property to go down, taxes, I don't know if it will. If I cut $50,000 from my budget, does that mean that everybody's taxes are gonna go down? I don't know. But that's where we gotta start. With my office, their office, their office, their office, it adds up. We gotta watch our spending as best as we can. Keep in mind, everything's went up in price also. We still gotta operate, we still gotta provide a service. If we're out there wasting, I don't think we're wasting money on our end. But I'm biased, I'm very biased. I'm willing to sit down and explain, like Jess said, I will explain every line item like I do every year to the board and justify why we need what we need. And when we don't use it, it goes right back. There's no record of us blowing money all through June to use up our last of our line item. If we need it, we need it. If we don't, it goes back. So watch your spending. It's that simple.
Great. Right. Would you like me to ask that again?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so, like I said previously, as auditor, I don't have control over all the elected official salaries, but I do my own, so I will freeze it and only take the cost of living every year after that. And as auditor, we have a big picture view of our county budget. So, it's not just our own, we have that overall view. So I hope to not only look for ways to cut spending in our office, but work with other offices to figure out where we can cut spending.
Would you like me to ask you the question?
No, I've got it. Our taxes went up 17% last year and over 4% this year. I don't believe, Sheriff Barnes, I think made a good point. I don't think we have a revenue problem. I think we have a spending problem. And we need to tighten it down. Our citizens are hurting, as I said earlier. And I have worked with taxpayer-funded entities across central Iowa. I have yet to experience a taxpayer-funded entity that worked efficiently. The bloat, the excess, the inefficiencies are glaringly obvious to me in my dealings. I'm hoping Madison County can be a notch above that fray and work smarter. But that is going to require collaboration, of course, with all the departments and all the different facets of the budget for the county.
Tom?
Well, let's see. We gotta keep the budget in line, that's no problem, that is the biggest problem with this county. But again, the problem with this county is you start taking money away from the people and they start leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna, if you get the budget down, fine. But if you're gonna say, well, we gotta do this and we gotta try to figure this out, people are gonna start to leave. To get the budget going, we need industrial growth. I think I preached this at the last meeting. and we need the growth. We got subdivisions and stuff out there that's bringing tax dollar in, but it's not enough. We gotta have industrial growth to get this town and county back up, get this county back on its feet like it belongs.
Can you, talk a little bit more about how you accomplish that?
If I'd figure it out when I'm supervisor. You know, there's no any sense me go figuring it out now and.
Well, I'm gonna, the next question is for you too. What would be your number 1, 2, 3 priorities this, when you take office as a supervisor?
Okay. On hiring, like I say, I've got 30 years in this industry. And I hired a lot of people. Like I say, my turnover rate wasn't very bad. I kept a lot of good workers. And like I say, the supervisors only hire 3 or 4 people. They don't hire the people off the street or, it's only, I think 4 people. It'd be like Mr. C, Ryan, and there's a couple more I can't think of right now. So as being a supervisor is hiring, there's not much hiring to do because it's done through HR. But there's the head of the, what do I wanna say? The head of the department is the ones that the supervisors hire.
Office of the Vice Chancellor for Research, Washington University.
I think your answer is right back there.
I didn't hear that.
Cheater.
That's it.
Okay. Jess, let's go to you. What goals do you have for your office during your first term?
Well, as we alluded to and Teri mentioned, freezing salaries of elected officials, like I said, they need to have some skin in the game so we can straighten this out. But I'm really hoping to reduce the budget and the impact to the taxpayers ultimately. We need better oversight on capital projects, of course. And I would also like to move the supervisor meetings to evenings, the public portions of that, so the community can be more engaged. It's easier for hopefully more people to attend and be involved. I also would like to see better transparency. It was the supervisor meeting last year, February 14, with the last year's proposed budget. Petition signed by hundreds of Madisonians was presented, and 2 of the 3 board members refused to accept it into record. That's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. These were tax-paying citizens trying to be heard. So I would like to see better transparency. Now, thankfully, we have citizens that have been recording the meetings and sharing that. But we need to make sure the community's involved, they're informed, and they know what's going on, and help everybody to basically get on the same page and get on the same team. Now, I do agree with Tom. We've got to pay county employees a fair wage. We want them to stay here. We want them to work here. We want them to raise their families here. But we need to get some data to back that up and figure out if that's an issue, we'll address it. But I don't believe just throwing money at positions is necessarily the answer. That may not be the reason if we have a retention problem that we do. So I'd like some more data on all of those factors myself.
Teri, what goals do you have for the office you seek during the first term?
I'll look for ways to reduce spending, of course, and second, make customer service a priority. I'll work with the supervisors to find ways on how to do things better, to serve the public, because that's what we're there for. More transparency. We need more user-friendly website where people can access videos, documents, things that they need, so you can just go there, find it, and not have to struggle with it.
Sure. What was that question again?
What goals do you have for the office you seek during your first term?
My goal is to maintain what we got going and get better with, keep the guys getting trained with the best they can, with the best training we can give them. Keep that jail up and going, keep that dispatch center up and going, keep that civil division up and going. just keep providing the coverage that we do for the county as we have been.
Teri, let's go to this one. Have you been recognized in your job for extraordinary work? If so, tell us about it.
I have been recognized for extraordinary work, due to my problem-solving skills, creativity, and, dedication during a new software launch for my company. I was nominated for the company's annual, Excellence Award. This award, not only recognized my hard work, but inspired me to push boundaries, striving for excellence in all aspects of my work.
Jess, let's go to you on this question.
Well, I've been in relationship management for years in the construction HVAC industry, prior to that in wholesale hardware. I developed somewhat of a reputation of a fixer. When there were problems with relationships, clients on the brink of firing the company that I worked for, unhappy people, they would bring me in to try to salvage the relationship. And I was far more successful than my peers. So I'm proud of that.
Sure, if you want to try to take a stab at that. How have you been recognized for job doing extraordinary work in your job?
Oh,
If you have.
nobody's really patted on the back.
Okay.
I guess-
There you go, you can't say that anymore.
I guess, getting reelected and has been has been great. I would consider that my biggest, getting reelected. People saying, okay, he's doing all right.
Tom?
Well, I usually got bonuses about every month. And they were substantial to show his appreciation or whatever.
Certificate
The way
of
I run his
appreciation.
business. So.
Those are gone.
That was the best way with cancer, so the bonuses are gone. But, he appreciated, there wasn't anything I couldn't do for him, and I was taken care of well. I mean, if a in-loader broke down, I had the motor out and I was rebuilding it. If, something needed welded, I welded the forks. I could do, there's nothing I really can't do. I'm not bragging, but if I see it done, I can figure it out.
He can do your doorknob.
Yeah, I could have done the doorknob in about 4 minutes.
I got a few things I need help
That
with.
was a bad night.
Show of appreciation.
Call those certificates of appreciation.
It was paper.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Has to be tax deductible.
Okay. Two more questions. Prior to your candidacy, Tom, we're gonna ask you this. Prior to your candidacy for this position, describe your involvement in civics.
Well, I always made sure that people's rights were not discriminated. You know, I like at the business that I was in, we'd have a lot of different nationality, and, you know, their civil rights were never on anybody's mind. You know, they knew their civic rights was there, and they weren't never discriminated, so that's about what I had with the people that I had working for me.
Jess, what's your previous experience in civics?
Well, for many years, I've been involved in statewide groups and associations trying to preserve our liberties. I continue to be engaged at that level, but in more recent history, in the last several years, I've recognized that I need more of a focus on the local level. And that's where we can have the best impact, and this is our community that we need to preserve. I've served on the Madison County Republican Central Committee for several years. Attended convention, district convention. I also served on the District 3 Platform Committee, establishing a platform for the Republican Party. And I really try to just get involved wherever I can and wherever I feel I can make an impact, and I'll continue to do that.
Sure.
I've always tried to stay informed of the issues so I can make an informed vote. Over the last couple of years, I noticed how much of an impact the local government has over our everyday lives, liberties, and property, and money. I realize that some actually believe this is okay and we should just get over it and open up our wallets and do what we're told. So it's not okay. Government exists to serve the people, not the other way around.
Amen.
Civics, something that's very important to me is the Constitution. It's under fire all the time, all of them, whether it be this First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment. The Fourth Amendment they really don't mess with, but everything else they do. But that's very important to me. There seems to be certain groups that want to take away, they want to tweak it their way, whether it be freedom of speech or the big one, Second Amendment. It's there for a reason. It's that cut and dry. It's there for a reason. It ain't there for honey. It's very important to me that we preserve that and we defend that. We're part of, our office is part of organizations that believe in the Constitution, peace officers associations. We work with groups that will come to this county and educate the county on how important it is that we defend that Constitution. It's a very real threat. It really is. Go to Illinois right now. You're turning in rifles over there. It's just a matter of time before they try, so you gotta defend that. So that's important to me.
Yeah. That's why you gotta start at the county level too.
Right.
Absolutely. Yep. All right, so this is a free-for-all question for you guys. Is there anything you want us to know about you that we didn't ask? And we'll just let whoever speaks first answer this.
No, you guys are good. I'm good.
You must tell us something we don't know though.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm not good, I'm just kidding.
No.
I don't have anything to add. I hope maybe you've learned a little bit more about me, and I'm thankful you all showed up. Hopefully, I've answered some of your questions and asked for your vote on June the 4th. Thank you.
You two pipers over there.
I don't think I really have anything new other than just to reiterate, that our citizens are struggling. One of my favorite things the past few months is meeting the citizens and talking with them and hearing their stories, and they're heartbreaking. Some of them are heartbreaking. I leave in tears. So I believe we can do better. I believe and I know I can do better than the current situation that we have. As I've said, I've spent my career working with all different trades, different skill sets, different levels of authority. I know I can bring people together toward a common goal, and that is serving our citizens. And my daughters, they're gonna be hopefully long-term Madisonians, but that's why I'm doing this, for them, to preserve this county and ensure that we are healthy for them and the generations to come.
Last chance, Tom.
Not nothing.
Not nothing. All right. I will just say that thank you very much for taking the time out to speak with us. I think this has been valuable. I will say to everybody else, yeah, absolutely. There's a table back there. There's some signs on it. We also have Amy Sinclair, one of our state senators, came tonight. So if you don't know Amy, introduce yourself to her. So really appreciate you coming tonight as well. But thank you for your time, your participation. I hope this was a valuable experience for you. This is the first time we've done this in Madison County. So
Do we get to ask any questions?
you can ask candidates questions after the meeting as much as you like, as long as they're willing to answer them.
I just kind of catching it. One quick question.
No. Thank you very much.